Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to the Summer Seasonal Cluster Stamp tutorial. Today we're going to make a gorgeous card using the summer set out of the seasonal cluster range. Now there's 6 stamps on the sheet and we've got the full sentiment stamp with summer and the butterflies. We've got the butterfly cluster, we've got the butterfly frame, the border, and then we've got 2 extra smaller butterfly stamps. All beautiful, all very versatile, ideal for your card making, your journaling, etc. We're also going to be using from the Sweet Dixie range the Marron cardstock and the Rose cardstock. So I know it helps for you to sort of see some of the items that we use, etc. Now, everything I do use I shall put in a detailed list on my website, and that's www.annemarievaux.com, and there'll be extra photos on there as well. There's all the handy dandy guides as well for how to rubber stamp, how to heat emboss, a few tricks and techniques on there as well, and I'll be adding to it all the time, so keep checking back, and don't forget to share with your friends. So the first thing that we're going to need is our base card. So this is a 7x5 inch card and it's just a white card. It could be any brand, any make, because you know what the beauty of my stamps is, that you can use them with whatever you have in your stash. So you've just seen me use my bone folder to make sure I've got a nice sharp crease along the edge. And the first thing I've done is taken a piece of the smooth white stamping card, and I've inked the edges just slightly with an ink called Picked Raspberry, and that's from set 1 of the Distress Inks. And I've just blended it very, very lightly around the edge. And I've got double-sided tape on the back of the layer, and I can add this just into the card. Now I've cut this virtually half an inch shorter than the actual card itself, so it gives me a large layer around the outside. So I'll have cut that down to 6.5 inches by 4.5 inches, and that gives that nice frame-like look around the edge. Next, because we're using what we have in our stash, I have this gorgeous die called the Ritz decorative die from Spellbinders, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to use that because it's just going to work so well with the butterfly stamps. I've used the cluster of 2 of the butterflies and I've stamped it just on the side. This is again the smooth white stamping card, so it shows how it die cuts well as well. I've stamped the butterflies with the Picked Raspberry ink, so it all tones in, and then I've just blended ink around the edge to give it a shaded effect, and again the same colour. Now I think this card is great for birthdays in the summer. I think it's a great card as a pick-me-up for anybody who's under the weather, anybody that just needs a card from you. So the centre is blank, there's no sentiment, so you can write your own sentiment. So you've just seen me take the tape off the back, and I'm just going to position it just through the centre of the card like that, and then I can press it down, and believe it or not, that is our insert complete. And it's just so pretty, the colour, and just with one die cut, and it just brings it to life. So now we can turn our attention to the outside of the card. Just using my bone folder again to make sure that crease is nice and sharp. And the base layer for the front of the card is the Marron colour. This is a beautiful, beautiful colour of cardstock, it really is. It is literally like melted milk chocolate. And I just think if you want to use any kind of craft coloured card, that's going to work with it. and the contrast with the white card, and it goes with ivory so well as well. I think you need that for your stash. There's not many times I say you need something, but that is, I think, a must. So I've cut the marron layer at 6.8 by 4.8. So it fits nicely on our card and it gives a nice edge around the outside as a layer. My next layer is from the smooth stamping card. I've used the cluster of butterflies where there's 6 in the cluster, and I've just stamped them. I started off repeat stamping, and then I got disturbed and I slipped and I left too much of a gap. But I'm not worried about that. I don't want everything to be absolutely perfect, because the clusters, they're not meant to be perfect. For new crafters and advanced crafters can take them to the next level with mixed media and using different textures, etc. For new crafters or for people that are just not sure about stamping, it just means they don't have to be perfect. If you're just beginning, they're a great set to use. If you're advanced, again, they're a great set to use. So I've stamped that, and I've used Stays On ink in Timber Brown, and then I've inked around the edge to give it a shaded effect, again with the picked raspberry, and I'll repeat, it's from set 1 for the distress ink lovers. All the details are on my website for the distress inks. I've got flat tape on the back, and I'm just going to position this over our previous layer. So press that down, there we go. Next, I have die cut the Ritz decorative accent again, and this is where I've used the rose cardstock, and again I've used the picked raspberry ink, and I've just repeat stamped the butterfly at the top and the bottom, and then I've inked around the edge of the die cut. I've got flat tape on the back, and I can peel the tape away, and we can add this, we'll go this way with it, to the front of our card, like so. Press it down. Our next layer is the border. I've actually stamped this again in Stays On ink on a smooth white stamping card, the Sweet Dixie card. I've used the Timber Brown Stays On, and instead of cutting round it, I've just edged it and then used a corner punch to round the corners off. I've got it on 3D foam, and I'm going to just place it through the centre of our card like that and press it down. Next, I've stamped the border stamp in the picked raspberry just on white smooth stamping card. I've shaded it a little bit. Now you're not going to see a great deal of this, but you are going to see the edges, but it's just for the layers and the effect. So I've got this on flat tape, and I'm going to position it through the centre of our frame like that. There we go. Now you can see how all the stamps work together and how they can build up. And then finally, I've stamped the actual word summer from the sentiment and the butterflies in the Timber Brown Stays On ink, and then I've just cut it out. I've simply followed the edge, I've cut it out. It doesn't have to be perfect because they're in a cluster. You just follow the edge around and cut out. I've got 3D foam on the back, and I'm simply going to position this over the actual previous layer. So that was the border stamp. Press that down, and that is our card finished. You can see those gorgeous layers and how it all works together. The inside matching perfectly. It stands up. Will definitely go on a mantelpiece. And what a pretty way to just send somebody your love or your thoughts, etc. in the summer. Maybe you haven't seen them for a long time. Maybe you just want them to know that you're thinking of them. I just think that's a gorgeous card. It really is. And all the seasonal stamps are just going to build up into layers so well with the frame and the border and then the sentiment. See what you can make with them. I'd love to see it. I absolutely love seeing your creations because you're such a creative bunch. And I'm so glad that you're enjoying the stamps and you just, are using them with whatever you have. So check the website for lots more photos, for information, everything I've used, all the guides, etc. There'll always be something new on there as I keep working on new tutorials and building up a great library for you. So I would just like to say thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you next time.